Welcome back to Pantheon Tactical, formerly known as Baba Yaga Contracting Airsoft. We changed our name recently because we're going to be working with more YouTubers in the near future for some projects, so we want a more universe umbrella name. So, today we're going to have a nice little discussion about this gorgeous little piece here. This piece here is 3D printed, it's also got some fiberglass, it also has some PVC. It is by far my favorite 40mm grenade launcher, mostly due to budget, and also on top of that, it's a piece of cake to build. She is fast, she's easy to reload. I've gotten a total of about 20 bucks here in parts. The most expensive part is actually a piece of fiberglass that needs to be cut down, so we're going to get into that in a minute. This piece here is fairly easy to build. You line it up to your shoulder, she looks good. She comes through, she is easily reloadable, she's fast. She has a set of sights down here across the top here. She's cozy, she's adjustable depending on your size. And she's cozy, she looks good too going down the barrel. And also, she is light as a feather. I have an M4 right here that is comfortably 4 times the weight of that launcher. So, now that I've done the little bit of a sales pitch here, this piece here is made by MilSim Labs, or at least the files are. They used to sell these as resin kits, but they now sell them exclusively. They just had the files for free on Thingiverse. I will have their links in the description here. Also, the other parts that I think you need to have because it's a trial and error depending on what you're doing. So, to start, the way this works, it's got a trigger here with no safety on the bottom here because it's just gravity fed. So you can just shear hear it moving across on that noise. So, we're going to load this. So you grab this pin here, it's a cotter pin in the back, grab, pull, pin comes out, goes on the table. Open latch, push back the firing pin, push that rod forward in the trigger. Grab your 40mm shell, stuff your foam ball down the inside if you're intending on using that. Put this in, push down. You can hear it click in. There's a nice little gap across the front here, so you can just grab and pull this out. It's a massive reloadable. Push that back down. Grab your key, push through, pull over the top, aim at your target, and she fires. Now, once you've made that shot, you get behind cover, you pull that pin out, grab the shell, and you repeat. You're able to get about 4 to 5 shots a minute with this thing with relative ease and fairly cheap. The most expensive part is getting your shells. This piece here is fantastic. I'm in love with it. I'm leaving this pin out just because I have to talk about this for a minute. I'm going to start off by talking about the 3D printing of it. 3D printing wise, I have this as a 25% fill because I abuse my 3D prints, and it's something new for me to be using in Airsoft. However, I've been using 3D printing for about 10 years now. I started off on a DaVinci Pro 1. It's a child's printer, but I owned a metal company doing castings, and I used to make my dies and my originals with it. So carrying this over to Airsoft was a dream because most of my equipment I already had. This piece here, in total, took about 7 hours to print everything with my current printer. My current printer is a longer LK5 Pro. It is a massive printer. It's fairly cheap, around the $300 to $500 range, depending on what accessories you're getting added onto it. And it's big enough that you can print full Mandalorian helmets. That's on my to-do list in the future, but not for Airsoft. So, that's how long it is to go through to produce this. It is fairly easy to print. You have your breech at the top here, your butt cap here, which is also your shoulder rest. You have your firing pin, which is in here. It's free floating right there. You have your handle, your trigger, which just free floats, and your sight. Now, assembling this is fairly easy. There is a YouTube video from MilSim Labs. I will provide it in the description so I don't have to go through the production of how to build this thing, unless you guys really want me to make one, because I'm making another one of these and donating it to my local field. So, from there, you've got those 3D printed parts, which, as I said, took about 8 hours. You've got a single fiberglass rod here. This fiberglass rod here is actually used as a yardstake for like backing up your car for the perimeter line. It's about, I'd say, 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch. When you go to cut the fiberglass, put a piece of painter's tape at your cut line and cut it with a little bit of wet water on it, because fiberglass is not healthy for you. So, those are the main parts. The only other item that I had to modify on this completely was the firing pin. The firing pin hole in the file on Thingiverse is not the correct firing pin. It's slightly offset, so you have to modify it. I just drilled a new hole about 1/8 of an inch above and just drilled through and went through there. After I did, I found out that somebody made a replacement one for this piece, and I put it in and it works fantastic. Recently, I changed my shells. I don't use this type of shell anymore, and I use a Max 40. I get about a 70 to 80 feet range with it. It's kind of like a discount taginn shell, but it's for Nerf. By the way, I 3D print my own rounds for that, so don't think that everybody can do this. As soon as I got that firing pin in there, I realized it wasn't reaching, because the pin needs to be pushed in much further on the primer than it is on these. So I just took a hand file and sanded it down to about halfway at an angle going back, so it now fires every single shell. This piece is fantastic for your MilSims. It's light, so it can hang off your back. It's also something that does have a nice presence to it. So this piece is something I would suggest for almost anybody who's wanting a discount airsoft pistol with 40mm, because you can make this any size. You could take this piece and shrink this handle all the way back to here and only have a 1/4 inch travel to turn it into a single handheld pistol, which is feasible, or you add a front grip to it to extend the fire. It all depends on what you're wanting to do. Now, in the past 2 videos, I've released 2 separate 40mm grenade launchers for rockets for airsoft. I've got this one here, which is in my previous video. If you go through my video history, you'll see it right there. It's fantastic for a objective item, so 1 shot, 1 kill based, kind of like a MilSim kill out for a building, but it is not the one that I would suggest for a squad to run continuously. That would be this. It's easy to load, it's point and click, anybody can figure it out. I will have the links to these files and the extra files for the replacement firing pin and that in the description, and the videos on how to make this. I want to personally thank MilSim Labs for putting these files out for the general public. It has made airsoft so much easier than waiting on an expensive taginn launcher or something that's very heavy-esque for us to use. I think that's about it with this piece. Oh wait, no, I take that back. I had one other modification I did compared to the rest of this. The front of the trigger guard here, it's wide open so the trigger can slide in and out. I drilled a hole and added a small machine screw with a double nut on either side so the trigger does not fall out. But I left it so that it could be removed for maintenance. Yeah, that's it. So, thank you guys for watching. This is Matt at Pantheon Tactical, formerly known as Baba Yaga Contracting. If you like what we're producing here, because we're going to be making more 3D printed files for airsoft and other items, please like and subscribe. Follow us on YouTube, Instagram, and of course on Facebook. We're talking right now about designing some products for 3D printing for other people to buy, so that you don't have to worry about trying to print this yourself. Yeah. Alright, thanks guys. If you like what we're doing, please follow us and enjoy the time. Thanks guys.